A man, enraged that someone had taken the parking spot he had his eye on, grabbed a baseball bat and smashed the other person's windshield without hesitation. What he didn't realize was he had just provoked someone far beyond what he could possibly handle. Far beyond what he could possibly handle. The one who pulled the trigger was none other than Sonny, the most feared mob boss in the neighborhood, and without a second thought, he stepped forward and fired 2 more shots. His men, well-trained and efficient, swiftly took the still smoking gun from Sonny, moved the injured man, and prepared to flee the scene immediately. In less than a minute, the crime scene was spotless, leaving no trace behind, as if nothing had ever happened. But just as Sonny turned to leave, his eyes locked with those of a young boy standing at the corner of the street. He knew that the child's existence was like a sword hanging over his head, ready to fall at any moment. And yet, for some reason, he chose to spare the child. In the 1960s New York, the Bronx was a restless city. And for kids growing up there, becoming a powerful mob boss seemed like a fast track to dreams and glory. Calogero was completely captivated by this illusion. He saw Sonny as a distant, almost mythical figure. Like a devout follower, he mimicked Sonny's powerful punches, copied his intimidating gestures, and fixated on his every move, making Sonny a constant part of his life. Yet this powerful man, towering above everyone else, seemed to have never noticed the little boy admiring him from afar. To live up to the gangster image he worshipped, Calogero joined the neighborhood bullies in harassing weak and helpless shopkeepers. They'd shoot hostile glances at other passing kids, full of contempt and aggression.
Where you came from? Lucky you're on that bus!
But Calogero could never bring himself to be as cruel and reckless as the others, thanks to his upbringing in a family grounded in strong moral values. His father, Lorenzo, was a hard-working bus driver who never missed a day and often reminded Calogero with heartfelt words about right and wrong.
Do not go near the bar. Stay on the stoop, but keep away from the bar. When you're older, you'll understand why.
But in the face of Calogero's near-fanatical admiration for Sonny, his father's sincere lectures were like a breeze over a lake, stirring ripples, but never changing the surface. To Calogero, Sonny still shone like a dazzling star, impossible to ignore. But fate has a way of shifting everything in an instant. One seemingly ordinary day, the neighborhood bustled as usual, until a sharp gunshot broke the rhythm. Having witnessed Sonny commit the crime, Calogero was yanked back home by his father. Lorenzo's hands trembled with fear, knowing the deadly consequences of getting involved with the mob, and he warned his son not to take a single step outside. But just moments later, there was a knock at the door. The police had arrived, asking Calogero to come and identify the killer. Lorenzo anxiously explained that his son didn't know anything, but he underestimated Calogero's sincerity and his stubbornness.
Daddy, I know everything.
The whole neighborhood already knew who the real killer was, but they passed the burden of testimony on to a 9-year-old boy without mercy. As Lorenzo stood there, his heart pounding as if it might burst from his chest, Sonny was also filled with regret for having shown mercy in that crucial moment. And in that critical moment, Calogero gave an answer no one expected. Driven by admiration, Calogero helped Sonny escape justice. Back home, he proudly celebrated his ability to fool the police, thinking he'd done something great. But Lorenzo looked stern, telling him he had just helped a criminal.
Because sometimes in life you gotta do certain things that you gotta do even though they're not right.
I thought I did the right thing. And now I'm not sure I did.
You did do the right thing, and when you get older you'll understand why.
From that moment on, fate quietly entwined their lives. Calogero and Sonny's paths were now connected. Sonny, who had once never paid him any attention, began to nod kindly at Calogero, and that small gesture gave the boy a sense of recognition he had never felt before. Later, one of Sonny's men boarded Lorenzo's bus and, out of gratitude, offered him a side job that paid $150 a week. For a struggling family like theirs, $150 was a windfall, enough to ease their financial burdens. But Lorenzo, proud and principled to the core, wanted nothing to do with the mob. Accepting the offer would be like opening Pandora's box, bringing endless trouble. So he turned it down flatly, and though Rosina found it regrettable, she still agreed. Some things were more valuable than money.
You're not sorry you got stuck with a bus driver, are you?
I fell in love with your uniform.
Yeah.
That night, Calogero quietly watched the funeral of the man who was shot. Seeing the man's young son, who was about his own age, he realized the weight of the pain his lie had caused. It was a guilt too deep for words. He went to the church, desperate to confess and seek forgiveness. But when the priest sternly asked who the killer was, Calogero couldn't betray Sonny. Overcome with shame, he fled the church. The next morning, Sonny's men came to find him. This was Calogero's first real encounter with his idol, and he was so nervous he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Sonny asked if he had a street name, and when he found out Calogero loved baseball but was upset about his favorite team losing, he invited him to sit beside him.
Mickey Mantle, is that what you're upset about? Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year. How much does your father make?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, see if your father can't pay the rent. Go ask Mickey Mantle and see what he tells you. Mickey Mantle don't care about you, so why should you care about him? Nobody cares.
When Calogero finally asked if the man had really been killed just over a parking space, Sonny smiled knowingly. His answer echoed Lorenzo's. "You'll understand when you're older." From then on, Calogero seemed to grow up overnight. He began to rethink his life and values. He tore up all his baseball cards, no longer chasing empty fame. After school, he would sneak into Sonny's bar, where everyone treated him kindly under Sonny's protection. At just 9 years old, he started earning money by serving drinks, beginning his own journey into manhood. One time, Sonny was on a losing streak at the table and completely down in the dumps when a sudden idea struck him. He called Calogero over to roll the dice for him. To everyone's surprise, it was like luck itself had taken Calogero's side. He kept winning, one round after another, for more than a dozen games. From that day on, Sonny treated him as his lucky charm, handing him $200 in cash and telling him to hurry home and do his homework. Not only that, Sonny even gave him a street name.
From now on, your name is C.
Now Calogero had his own gangster nickname, personally given by the mob boss himself. He was overwhelmed with pride, as if he had officially become a real respected member of the underworld. Sonny began to treat Calogero like his own son, and the way the neighbors looked at him changed completely, now filled with awe and flattery. Even that grumpy old shopkeeper who used to yell at everyone became polite and respectful. This new status filled Calogero with pride, and he basked in the attention, feeling like he was standing on top of the world. But the good times didn't last long. One day, his parents discovered that he had hidden $600. Lorenzo was stunned and his face grew deadly serious. He promised that as long as Calogero told the truth, he wouldn't be punished. So Calogero admitted he had been working for Sonny and had earned quite a bit in tips. Lorenzo, however, insisted that dirty money had no place in their home. He knew that once you accept that kind of money, it stains your soul forever. So he took Calogero to the bar to return the cash. This led to the first real confrontation between the two men.
You know what I'm talking about. Just stay away from my son, okay?
Hey, you stay right over here. See, why don't you go outside? I want to talk to your father.
I'll speak to my own son. Coach, wait outside.
I offered you a job, but you said no to me.
That's right, and I say no now. Just leave my son alone, please.
Hey, don't you see how I treat that kid? I treat that kid like he's my son.
He ain't your son. He's my son.
He's what?
He's my son.
Hey, out of here.
Lorenzo wanted his son to walk an honest path and have a bright future. He warned him to stay away from Sonny or face serious consequences. Calogero felt deeply wronged. To him, that money was earned through hard work, and he couldn't understand why his father rejected it so harshly. In a moment of frustration, Lorenzo slapped Calogero across the face.
Sonny was right. The working man is a sucker, Dad. He's a sucker. But everybody loves him, just like everybody loves you and the boss. It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same. People don't love him. They fear him.
Feeling guilty, he immediately apologized and gently stroked his son's head. That slap wasn't about defending his pride as a father, but about protecting the innocence a boy Calogero's age was supposed to have. From that day on, Calogero and Sonny became like strangers. One stood for light and justice, the other ruled over darkness and power. But that didn't sever the connection between Calogero and Sonny. Their connection, like roots beneath the ground, only grew deeper with time. Unknowingly, Sonny had become a mentor in Calogero's life, guiding him through a chaotic world in his own unique way. 8 years flew by. During that time, Calogero made good money with Sonny's help. He even started his own club with some friends, and the childhood gang leader had now become a full-fledged troublemaker who hadn't changed a bit. Calogero, on the other hand, often played the role of the peacemaker, trying to steer those around him in a better direction. Lorenzo was still the same hard-working bus driver, up early and home late, and despite life's difficulties, the father and son kept a good relationship. That day, just like always, Calogero sat behind his father, keeping him company on his final round of the day. But fate had other plans. Across from him sat a girl who took his breath away. She was tall and graceful, stunningly beautiful, and carried herself with natural elegance and confidence. Her presence lit up Calogero's world in an instant. Unfortunately, they were from different worlds, and their encounter was bound to be full of obstacles and hardship. At the same time, one of Calogero's friends owed him $20. Every time he came to collect, the guy dodged him like a rat avoiding a cat. This time, when the guy tried to run again, Calogero lost his temper and was about to rough him up. Just then, Sonny called him back. He warned that if Calogero threw a punch, he'd be no different from a thug. Violence wasn't always the answer. On the contrary, Sonny thought it was a bargain. $20 was all it took to see someone's true colors. Sonny himself had once been just as hot-headed. It landed him in prison for 10 years.
Nobody cares. Worry about yourself, your family, the people that are important to you.
He knew some prices weren't worth paying. After years of ruling the neighborhood, Sonny was both loved and feared, more often the latter. This made Calogero wonder, which is more important, to be loved or to be feared?
It's nice to be both, but it's very difficult. But if I had my choice, I would rather be feared.
As Lorenzo once said, people didn't truly respect Sonny. They were simply afraid of him. That was Sonny's life. To never show weakness, he had chosen to remain unmarried and childless. In many ways, Calogero was the closest person he had. Gradually, Calogero's anger cooled, and he began to reflect on his actions and on the rules of the world around him. Just then, a loud commotion erupted outside. A biker gang had arrived, revving their engines and disrupting the peace with deafening noise. They interrupted Calogero and Sonny's conversation and even ruined their lunch. Sonny followed them to a bar where the owner refused to serve them because of their appearance.
Money ain't green. We just want a couple of beers.
A few beers, that's it.
That's it, we'll be on our way. We ain't looking for trouble.
But Sonny, thinking they were still polite, told the owner to serve them anyway. After a few drinks, the bikers showed their true colors. Sonny tried to reason with them and asked them to leave, but they didn't take it well.
I'll tell you when to leave, all right? Get the
Without hesitation, Sonny locked the doors and led his men in a brutal attack, beating the gang mercilessly. Calogero had thought that after years by Sonny's side, he wouldn't be fazed. But in truth, he didn't lift a finger. He just cowered in a corner, trembling in fear. It was the first time he had seen mob violence up close. The bloody reality left a deep impression on him, changing how he saw the world and its rules. After witnessing that brutal beating, Calogero began to mistakenly believe that violence could solve everything. So when his friends wanted to buy weapons, he didn't object. But Sonny found out and erupted in anger. The others quickly ran off, but Sonny stopped Calogero in his tracks. With a heavy heart, he told him this life wasn't meant for him. He should be studying, getting an education, not following in his footsteps. Sonny knew that Calogero had a misguided view of the world, so he tried to guide him the way a father would, hoping to steer him away from that path. The next day, Calogero went with his father to a boxing match. Sonny waved at him from a distance, and his men invited Calogero and Lorenzo to sit ringside. But Lorenzo politely declined, his eyes full of pride and quiet resistance. Though Calogero stayed by his father's side, his heart was already drifting toward Sonny. He was torn between two worlds, unable to let go of his father's love, yet still drawn to the danger and allure that Sonny represented. Even though he refused the front row seat, Lorenzo was still deeply worried. He knew the connection between Sonny and his son had grown close, and feared that one day it would lead to disaster. But in truth, Calogero felt deep love from both men. Lorenzo's love was simple and warm, lighting the path as he grew. Sonny's love was complex and powerful, full of street wisdom, helping him understand the harsh world outside. A few days later, his friends invited Calogero to help get back at the guy who hadn't returned $20. But with exams approaching, he chose to stay at school and study. After all, Sonny had once told him, $20 was a small price to pay to cut someone out of your life. Calogero had dreams of his own. He didn't want a moment of rage to ruin his future. Unexpectedly, he ran into the girl from the bus again, the one who had stolen his heart. Though nervous, he didn't want to let the moment pass and bravely walked up to her. It turned out she'd remembered him too. And fondly, she accepted his offer to walk her home and even fixed his cap for him with a gentle smile.
You have beautiful eyes.
Yeah, so do you.
They talked easily, laughing and enjoying each other's company, eventually agreeing to see a movie together. In that moment, Calogero felt the sweetness of first love bloom inside him. But when he walked her to her neighborhood, the hostile looks from those around made him stop in his tracks. It was a kind of invisible barrier, one that left him feeling helpless. Back at the clubhouse, he saw his friends playing a guessing game. Just then, a few guys rode by on their bikes, and his friends suddenly rushed forward to stop them, attacking one of them in a violent assault. Calogero rushed over to stop them.
Do it! You're gonna kill him! I don't care! I want to kill him! Hey, kill this one! The cops are coming! Fuck that! The cops are coming! Come on!
Justice burned in his chest. He couldn't stand by and watch such senseless violence. He ended up saving the man's life, but in doing so, he got himself into even more trouble. The next day, Sonny heard about the fight and warned Calogero again to stay away from those guys. Calogero blamed the whole thing on their prejudice. He admitted that he had fallen for a girl, but he wasn't sure if he should keep seeing her, because he knew there was a huge difference between them. Sonny's advice was surprisingly heartfelt. He said a man gets only 3 chances in life to meet a truly good woman. A great woman is like a champion boxer, once in a lifetime. Maybe, he said, this girl was one of Calogero's 3. To help him make a good impression, Sonny even lent him his car.
It's all right, I'm gonna lend you my car. I want you to make a good impression.
He also gave Calogero one of life's simplest but sharpest lessons, how to test if a girl is selfish. On the day of the date, he should park the car not far from the meeting spot, walk the girl to the passenger side and open the door for her, then go around to the driver's side to see if she'll unlock it for him. If she reached over to unlock the driver's side, she was thoughtful and worth keeping. If she didn't, he should walk away, because small things reveal big truths. The next day, Calogero showed up for the date, excited, and parked the car near the meeting spot, just like Sonny had taught him. But before he even had a chance to test her, Jane stormed up and demanded to know if he had been involved in the recent beating. It turned out her brother was the man who'd been beaten. Calogero quickly tried to explain that he had actually helped stop the fight. But Jane's brother insisted it was Calogero who threw the punches. Anger got the better of him. He snapped and blurted out a cruel insult without thinking. The words cut through Jane like a knife, and the fragile spark between them shattered instantly. Filled with regret, Calogero realized he'd let his anger destroy something precious. Back home, Sonny asked how the date went, but Calogero was too upset to answer. Upstairs, Lorenzo watched quietly from his window. He'd always feared that Sonny would one day hurt his son, and once again tried to warn Calogero to stay away from him. But Calogero, lost in frustration and pain, refused to listen.
We don't even own a car. We ain't got money, we ain't got nothing. Don't take it out on me because you're a bus driver. The working man is a sucker.
He stormed out of the house and returned to the clubhouse, only to find its walls splattered with eggs. His friends were already gathering, planning a full-blown act of revenge. Just then, Sonny rushed over, furious and out of breath.
After you picked up my car, where did you go?
I drove around a little and then I went to go pick up Jane. Why?
Jane, was there really a Jane? Talk to me.
It turned out he had discovered a bomb planted in his car, and if he hadn't found it in time, the consequences would have been unthinkable. He suspected that Calogero had used the date as a cover to try and harm him, and in that moment, he was furious beyond control.
I swear, I just went right to the school and that was it. I swear to God, why would I want to hurt you? You've been like a father to me.
After Calogero poured out his heartfelt emotions, he finally moved Sonny, who slowly let go of him and chose to trust Calogero. All of a sudden, everything terrible seemed to fall on him. Misunderstood by both his girlfriend and Sonny, the pain of not being trusted felt even worse than death. He wandered the streets, lost and broken, until his friends called him into their car. They still refused to give up, armed with Molotov cocktails and a handgun, determined to take revenge. Watching their hysterical behavior, Calogero felt a strong urge to run away. As he hesitated, torn between joining them or being seen as a coward, the voices of his 2 fathers echoed in his ears.
These people will hurt you, son. Don't waste your talent, son. Then I kept hearing Sonny's voice. Be careful, see. Don't lose it, see. Keep your head, see.
Fortunately, at a red light, they ran into Sonny.
Stay out of the car.
Come on, my nose.
Move. It's the last time. Stay away from this kid.
In that moment, Calogero felt overwhelming gratitude and began to reflect on his own behavior. One of Sonny's men told Calogero that a girl was looking for him, and that's when Sonny realized he had been wrong about Calogero. Jane explained the misunderstanding, saying her brother had just been upset and didn't mean to falsely accuse him. This proved that Calogero had truly been trying to help. They made up, but Calogero needed to take Jane home quickly, because his reckless friends might hurt her brother. Before getting into the car, Calogero looked down and saw Jane reach over to unlock the door from the inside. That small act reignited hope in Calogero's heart, but by then, his friends had already reached Jane's neighborhood. They opened fire on storefronts, caused chaos, and threw Molotovs into homes. As they tried to flee, one Molotov was thrown back, triggering an even bigger explosion. When Calogero arrived, the scene stopped him cold. The once familiar streets were in ruins, flames still roaring, the air thick with smoke, ash, and the stench of burning flesh. His so-called friends, those out for vengeance, lay sprawled across the ground, killed by the very fire they set. He didn't know whether to feel sorrow or relief, but one thing was certain: Sonny had saved his life. Thankfully, Jane's brother was unharmed, and Calogero finally breathed a sigh of relief. All he wanted now was to return to Sonny and tell him everything that had happened. But at the bar, he saw a man with a blank expression slowly approaching Sonny. Sonny, focused only on Calogero, never noticed the danger behind him. In a flash, a gunshot rang out, and Sonny collapsed in a pool of blood. The shooter was the son of the man Sonny had gunned down 8 years ago during the parking lot incident. In that moment, time felt as if it had frozen. Calogero stood frozen, watching Sonny fall. His mind went blank, and the screams around him sounded distant and muffled, as if coming through a thick layer of glass. At the funeral, the sky was dark and heavy, as if the world itself were mourning Sonny's death. But to Calogero's sorrow, it seemed no one truly cared. People stood around whispering about who would take over the gang, as if Sonny's life and death meant nothing to them. After the service, Calogero approached Sonny's body alone. He whispered that Jane had passed the test, and thanked him for saving his life. But Sonny could no longer hear him. Just then, a man appeared, wearing a ring identical to Sonny's. He was Carmine, the man involved in the parking space incident 8 years ago, and Sonny's sworn brother. Before he died, Sonny had instructed Carmine to take over the gang if anything ever happened to him. Carmine told Calogero that if he ever needed anything, he could come to him, but Calogero asked just one question. Was that incident back then really just about a parking spot? Carmine's answer was firm: no. Until the very end, Calogero still couldn't find the real answer. Lorenzo also came to the funeral, and although he had always opposed his son's relationship with Sonny, he knew that Sonny had been protecting Calogero, so he paid his respects to him solemnly.
I never hated you. I guess it's that I was just mad at you because you made him grow up so fast.
After Lorenzo left, Calogero was reluctant to go for a long time, and he finally understood that what Sonny had said, "Nobody cares," was not entirely true. Those who stayed close to Sonny out of fear may have seemed heartless after his death, but the people who genuinely respected and loved him would remember him forever. At last, Calogero blew a kiss to Sonny's forehead, made Sonny's signature hand gesture, and said a final goodbye to the man who had been both mentor and father to him. At the same time, Lorenzo finally changed the way he addressed his son, acknowledging the man he had become.
Let's go home, see.
And with that, the story of the Bronx came to an end. Calogero was undeniably lucky. He had 2 fathers, one who stood for traditional values and the warmth of family, and another who embodied a dangerous but thrilling world of reality. From both, he received equally priceless lessons. His father's integrity and kindness were like a lighthouse, helping him stay true in the vast ocean of life. Sonny's boldness and confidence gave him the courage to survive in a complicated world, shaping him into a man of principle and adaptability. But in truth, no parent is perfect. They shape us harshly in childhood, yet silently give us wings to fly. I used to hate my father's ordinariness, forgetting that he was once a boy full of dreams. I resented my mother's shrewdness and pragmatism, not realizing that she was once a girl who dreamed of the future. We're just standing on our parents' shoulders, seeing a world they never could. When we spend the money they worked so hard to earn, learn the things they never had the chance to understand, travel to places they never reached, and live lives they never got to experience. We still despise them for their clumsiness or insignificance. Their world is small, small enough to only hold us. Ours is so vast, we often forget to hold them back. They often forget we've grown, just as we forget they're growing old. But the greatest tragedy of all is that he never wanted me to become like him. And now that I'm a father, I realize I'm not even as good as he was.